Right.
Okay, we are now live on YouTube. So welcome everybody to the November 5th, 2020 City Council virtual meeting. I'm Mayor Mark Boughton, and so at this time I'd like to call our meeting to order. We will start off, as we do every meeting, with the Pledge of Allegiance. So I'm going to ask Council President Cavo. I don't think he's ever led us in the pledge, so he's going to lead us in the pledge tonight.
Yeah, the mayor, yes, thank you, and thanks. Okay, thanks a lot, Frank.
You're on mute.
Cover
You're on
me.
mute.
Okay, ready.
I got you on mute. Okay.
Okay, I'm gonna
So
put it
do-
on. Thanks, Frank.
I know.
Sorry, I
Okay,
didn't have
Mr.
my
Cabo, we're
volume
ready.
on, but I didn't have my volume on, but I did do the pledge.
All right, let's try it again.
Okay, ready? I pledge allegiance to
Pledge
the
allegiance
flag
to
of
the
the
flag
United States of
of the United
America,
States of America,
to the
and to
to
republic
the
for which it
republic
stands,
for which it stands,
one
One
nation,
one
under
nation,
God,
under
God,
indivisible,
indivisible, liberty,
with liberty and justice for
justice
all.
for all.
Thank you, Mr.
Praise
Cabo. Mr. Palma, Councilman Palma, please lead us in prayer.
Yes, I want to do a special prayer today. If you have any situation that you might going through, or you know any family, somebody, I ask you to pray for them and pray for our city. And let's all pray today together and trust in God that all things are possible in His name. Let's pray. Father in heaven, we thank you because you always stay in control. You always keep in control. Everything that's happening, everything what's going on, nothing has gone out of your hands. Father, we ask you to protect us, protect every one of us, all of our families, and all these nations. We ask you, Father, in these tough times, to give us the strength that we need to be able to keep going through in life. Father, we know how many people have been suffering through this virus, and we know how many people have even died because of the virus. That's why we ask you, Father, to give them the strength to the families that they might feel lonely, for all those kids that they wanted to go back to school and they might also feel lonely at home. Give them peace, give them a strength, and help them to go right through in life, and let them understand that with you all things are possible. Father, we ask you to bless this nation, to extend your hand and bless the nation that you have given us. Give us the wisdom, the strength to keep on going in this life. Father, bless everyone who's here tonight, and help their families, bless their families, their work, and everywhere they go, your hand, your peace, to cover their lives, and everyone to stay healthy, well, and safe. In Jesus' name we pray and believe that all things are possible in your name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Councilman. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Elves,
Present.
Bezade,
Present.
Mike Esposito,
Present.
Levy,
Present.
Warren Levy, okay, Salvatore,
Present.
Stanley,
Here.
Tabersack. Well, we know he's here. Fox,
Present.
Triola,
Here.
DiGilio,
Here.
Cabo,
Present.
Rotello,
Here.
Visconti,
Here.
Palma,
Present.
Knapp,
Here.
John Esposito,
Here.
Santos,
Present.
Perkins,
Present.
Genesi,
Present.
Camissa,
Here.
Molinaro,
Here.
21.
Okay, there being 21 present and 0 absent, the first 30 minutes of each city council meeting are traditionally reserved for public speaking. Because obviously we're doing the Zoom meetings and the virtual meetings, we don't have public here, but they are allowed and asked to submit comments online. I have one set of comments I'd like to read to you. And they are as follows. These comments come from Tom Brown,
10 Valerie Lane.
10 Valerie Lane. Thank you. First, he has a comment on Agenda 8 department reports, the police department report. COVID-19. Danbury's COVID-19 infection rates are helping drive the state back into phase 2 restrictions. What is the DPD strategy for enforcing COVID phase 2 and 3 rules? How are enforcement actions recorded in the monthly DPD statistics? Number 2, Connecticut HB 6004, an act concerning police accountability, co-sponsored by State Senator Julie Kushner, includes provisions that were implemented upon passage, others on October 1st, and still more to be phased in on later dates. The HB 6004 provisions implemented upon passage and on October 1st required specific administrative action and training by municipal police forces. Is the DPD compliant with the HB 6004 provisions in effect as of this date? 3, body cams / dash cams. When can we expect our Danbury Police Department to be 100% trained and equipped with body cams and dash cameras? The Health and Human Services report. Number 1, COVID-19. Since contact tracing seemed to identify family gatherings as a significant contributor to our red zone infection status, what is the health department's strategy to identify and deal with gatherings at private residences that exceed the 25 maximum? 2, does the health department issue citations of violators, or must the PD get involved? 3, what are the penalties for violations? 4, should citizens observing possible COVID-19 violations contact the health department or the police department? We did respond to Tom in that, unfortunately, we can't respond to questions here, but we can have somebody get back to him to answer some of the very detailed, specific questions he had, but we appreciate his input. I have some announcements before I ask Kara to give us a COVID update. I just want to review with you some of the things as related to COVID, and then Kara can talk a little bit more in depth about those things. One is, first of all, we want to congratulate our local elected representatives, our Congresswoman Johanna Hayes, who was reelected, our State Senator Julie Kushner, who was reelected, State Representatives Raheb Ali Brennan, Stephen Harding, David Arcani, Bob Godfrey, Ken Gucker, who are all reelected. And congrats to registrars Mary Ann Doran and Joan Belizna upon their reelection. And finally, congratulations to a newly elected official, State Representative-elect Patrick Callahan of the 108th District. The governor made a bunch of serious announcements, and I forgot Kara is on a call with the Board of Ed right now. A bunch of serious announcements as it relates to COVID-19 today. And I just want to share, if you had not heard of them, share them with you and with the people that are currently watching at home. First of all, he's advising that private gatherings of 10 people, he's advising that private gatherings be limited to 10 people, both for indoor and outdoor, although business gatherings, i.e. events, are 25. He made a number of changes to sports, which have been a concern here in Danbury. Any sport that's considered to be in the red category for transmission, both private and at any school, has been postponed, or at least to January 1st of 2021. So that would also mean independent leagues, which has been a workaround for some people to sprout up these independent teams. They can no longer play. Sports can no longer travel. Teams can no longer, this is K through 12, can no longer travel out of state and back into state for games that are being conducted. He also rolled out previously a phase 2, which takes effect at midnight on Friday night. Phase 2 limits restaurants to 9:30 p.m. unless you can do takeout beyond that, but in person dining is limited to 9:30. Also, there were some changes made to gatherings of people. All those can be found online on our website, but they are, I thought, pretty important, and just to let you know what's happening out there with these kinds of things. In terms of numbers, most of you are probably aware of them, but we did have a significant increase in numbers this week. Tuesday, we had 56 new cases. Those are Danbury residents who have been diagnosed with COVID-19, and tragically, we had 1 new death. Wednesday, we had 33 new cases, and today we once again had 56 new cases. We are doing some testing. Again, that's one of our strategies, is to test as much as we can. So we are testing November 7th, 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. at 120 Main Street. That's Civic, this Connecticut Institute for Communities. And we're also at the same time testing at 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. at the Brazilian Assembly of God at 6 Coal Pit Hill Road. That's also available. While we don't get daily updates from Danbury Hospital and Nuvance, they did indicate that hospitalizations are increasing. As of 2 days ago, they were plus 14 cases that have been hospitalized. And I understand those numbers have gone up dramatically over the last 2 days. So we are seeing an increase in hospitalizations. The other phenomenon we're having, I just want to make this announcement in general, and if the council could share this with your constituents, it would be very helpful. We do have our contact tracers out there. So if somebody is diagnosed with COVID-19, somebody from the health department will call them or reach out to them. And some people have been lying or have been afraid to share their information with the contact tracer. It's very important for us to know where they may have picked up COVID-19, and people are hesitant to do that. So please encourage them to share all the information that they can. We're not going to make judgments at this point if they're COVID positive. We just want to know where else have they been to potentially go and warn those individuals that they may have been exposed. So anything you can do to help us share that information would be greatly appreciated. That by no means is not all of the things that are happening, but all events up until public events up until November 30th have been canceled due to the increase in numbers here in the city of Danbury. With that, Kara will be on a little bit later, but does anybody have any quick questions about anything that I mentioned? I'll try to give you the best information I can. If not, we can have Kara come up later at the meeting. So with that, we'll move on to.
Your Honor?
Yes, I'm sorry.
Sorry, I just had to get to the unmute. You mentioned there's an increase in hospitalizations. Is that what you said?
Yes.
Okay, that's all I want to know. Thanks, that wasn't clear.
Yep, no problem. Anybody else? Sorry, I went a little fast there. Okay, again, we can revisit this a little bit later when Kara gets off the Board of Ed meeting. With that, Mr. President, can we have the minutes, please?
Thank you, Your Honor. At this time, I move that we waive the reading of the minutes as all members have copies, and copies are on file for review in the office of the legislative assistant as well as online.
Second.
Motions are made and seconded by Councilman Perkins. Any changes, deletions, or corrections to the minutes as presented? Seeing none, then I will try your minds in acceptance of the minutes. Please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Ayes have it. Motion carries unanimously. Mr. Majority Leader, can we have the consent calendar, please?
Yes, Your Honor. The consent calendar for November 5th, 2020. Item 1, receive the communication and confirm the appointment of Kevin Berry to serve as a member of the Danbury Housing Authority. And item 6, receive the communication and adopt the resolution authorizing Mayor Mark D. Boughton or Katie Pearson, Library Director, as his designee, to accept funding from the Connecticut State Library through its Everybody Learns Public Library Grant Program through Connecticut Coronavirus Relief Funds. This funding, not to exceed $52,000, will be used to replace the self-service kiosks in an effort to continue contactless services and must be expended by December 18, 2020. No local matches required. That's the consent calendar, Your Honor.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any changes to the consent calendar? Seeing none, then I will try your minds. Just give me the old thumbs up or an aye.
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 Is there any nays? Okay, ayes have it. Motion carries unanimously. With that, we will move to the first item on the agenda. And that is, hold on, let me pull up my calendar here. That would be item 2.
Communication donation by the Danbury Westerners. Dear Mayor Boughton and City Council members, the Danbury Westerners play their home games at the Rogers Park baseball field. In the past 12 months, the city has made significant field improvements which have recently been completed. The Westerners have been fundraising to make additional needed modifications to the facility and are ready to make a significant donation to the city to cover associated costs. The scope of the work includes a new electronic scoreboard, raising the height of outfield fences, adding safety fence down both the first and third baselines, and fencing for home and away pitching cages. The work will be done in phases with a time frame yet to be determined. Estimated value of all modifications is $80,000. I request this generous donation be accepted by the council. If you require any additional information, please do not hesitate to contact me. Sincerely, Nicholas Kaplanis, Director of Recreation.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. What's your pleasure, council?
Your Honor.
Councilman John Priola.
Thank you. I would move that we receive the communication and accept this significant donation being made by the Danbury Westerners. This donation, with an estimated value of $80,000, consists of needed field modification to the Rogers Park baseball field where the Westerners play their home games. I would also ask that we send the appropriate letter of thanks for this generous donation.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded by Councilwoman Stanley. Any discussion as it relates to, this is a very generous donation. Any discussion? Mr. Shinisi.
Thank you, Your Honor. Just a few things, I guess, to Mr. Kaplanis.
I'll try with 1 minute.
Mr. Kaplanis. Go ahead, Ben.
Okay. So are these improvements going to be done by the city, or the city is just going to oversee the purchase of the scoreboard and the installation? Or Antonio can answer it too.
But he made the offer to deduct the electricity from the rent, you know?
Everyone.
So
Nick, I could just kind of give a history of when we've done this in the past, how we kind of deal with it. There's a pretty extensive number of meetings in advance of the work starting, and we go over exactly what the type of work is, who's going to be performing it. And we don't directly oversee it, but we're heavily involved in it, Mr. Chinese.
Okay. Now, because I've been to, again, through the chair, I've been to a lot of games there, and one of the issues has always been that the field itself is too small. Is there any talk about, since you're going to redo the fences, of moving the fences back and making the outfield larger? Because that's been one of the complaints of the field itself, is this too small?
So, Ben, I'm not aware of that work being done, but doesn't mean that it's not possible. So we would probably look at that as we move forward in the getting this work done.
Okay, because that would definitely would help make this field even better than it is now. Thank you.
Can I add to that?
Mr. Kaplanis, go ahead.
Yeah, they've looked at the extending or putting the fences back, but it's really not practical. The raising of the fences will enhance the ability for you extending the field without moving the fence, because you're going to have to hit the ball a lot further to go over the higher fence. So in essence, even though by feet down the baseline, you're not extending the field that way. You're doing it by raising the height. It's something that was similarly done to the softball field on the other side of the park.
All right. Again, I would just talk to them and get their opinion on it, but I think they'll see it differently a little bit. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chinese. Any other questions regarding this donation? Okay. At this time, then, I'll try your minds on acceptance of the donation. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Or give me the thumbs up. Anybody opposed? Okay, ayes have it. Motion carries unanimously. The next item that we have on our agenda, item 3.
Communication, Mountainville Avenue property request. Dear
What's your
Mayor,
pleasure? Hold on. What's your pleasure, council? Councilman Cabo.
Thank you, Your Honor. At this time, I move to refer this to an ad hoc committee, concluding Corporation Counsel, Director of Public Works, the Planning Director, the Director of Parks, a Planning Commission report, and the petitioner.
Ad hoc committee shall consist of the following: Councilman Priola will be in the chair, Councilman Levy, and Councilman Alves. Item 4, please.
communication renewal of water and sewer extension approval for 28-30 Tamarack Avenue.
Okay, what's your pleasure, council? Councilwoman Camissa?
Sorry about that. Thank you, Your Honor. I would like to request that this item be sent to the Director of Public Works and Planning for reports.
Okay, seeing no objection, sending off for reports, it is so ordered. Item 5, please.
Item 5, communication 25 Myrie Brook Road acquisition. Dear Mayor and Council.
Hold on. What's your pleasure, council? Councilman Levy. Yep, Councilman Levy.
I'd like to refer this to an ad hoc committee. The director or the airport administrator, the director of planning, a planning report, and the corporation council.
Ad hoc committee shall consist of the following: Councilman Levy in the chair, Councilman Fox, and Councilman Rotello. Item 6 was consent. Madam Clerk, item 7, please.
Ad hoc report donation of land of Commerce Park.
The reading, do you want to waive the reading of the report?
Your Honor, at this time, I move that we waive the reading of the report as all members have copies, and copies are on file for review in the Office of the Legislative Assistant as well as online.
Okay, motion made and seconded by Councilman Rotello. This is simply to waive the reading of the report. See, all those in favor, give me a thumbs up of not reading the report.
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, any opposed? Okay, ayes have it. Motion carries. Let's now move to the main motion. And at this time, we'll entertain a main motion for item 7. And Mr. Esposito, Mike Esposito. Mike, you're still muted. Mike, you're still, there you go.
There we go.
There you go.
Sorry about that. I move to accept the donation of the 2 parcels of land, Assessor's Lot K 11152 and LT 1039 from Seymour Powers Trust and Family on Augusta Drive and Newtown Road in Commerce Park, Danbury. Said lots are discussed in committee together with, excuse me, and conditional upon such testing and others due diligence pre-acquisitions measures, including necessary easements and or other instruments legally necessary to obtain access or for other purposes as may be needed and as required in order to consummate this transaction.
Second.
Motion made and seconded by Councilman Santos. Discussion about this item. I think there's been some massaging over the last 48 hours.
Your Honor.
We'll start with Mr. John Esposito, then up to Mr. Rotello. Go ahead, Mr. John Esposito.
Thank you. In the motion, I guess I'm going to direct my question to perhaps Attorney Pinter. In the motion there, it mentioned pending necessary instruments as necessary. Can or does that include a soil sample analysis?
Yeah, I got it. Okay. You hear me? Yeah. Thanks for that question, Councilman. That particular language does not include the testing. The separate testing reference just above that would include testing. The instruments that we're talking about are easements or in the nature of other access rights that are necessary. So that's what that particular language refers to. The testing, remediation or whatever is separately referenced above.
Okay, thank you. I would like to motion to amend the main motion to include, pending soil sample analysis upon accepting the donation. And just to explain my purpose in that, I mean, the one parcel on Augusta Drive especially is surrounded by commercial property. So I do generally support the acceptance of the donation of this land, but it's just something that, as I was looking at the satellite images, just kind of dawned on me, and just something I would feel more comfortable with that language in the motion.
Second. Okay, there's, so we have a, yep, we have a motion to amend the main motion. I would like to ask Mr. Pinter, I think we may do that already. Do we not require phase ones and phase two environmentals, or what is the standard if it's part of the real estate transaction itself? One minute, Council, we're getting it.
Thank you. There are normal pre-acquisition procedures that are typical for transactions of this kind. Remediation check is normal. We specifically did include that in the motion that was read with the words testing. So we did, upon request and information, specifically put that in there. So that would cover that, Councilman.
That satisfies me then. Thank you.
Yeah.
Your Honor?
Yes, Mr. Rotello.
I think that the motion, I would have to, through you, obviously, ask Councilman Esposito, Mike Esposito, to reread that motion, because I believe the motion that Attorney Pinter is referencing was not the motion that Councilman Esposito read. So there may be two different things. So if Mike could just read the motion again, we could clear that up.
Sure. Mr. Mike Esposito, could you reread your motion?
Yes, Your Honor. We move to accept the donation of the two parcels of land, assessors lots K11152 and lot LT1039 from Seymour Powers Trust and Family on Augusta Drive and Newtown Road in Commerce Park, Danbury. Said lots are discussed in committee together with any conditionals upon such testing and other due diligence pre-acquisition measures, including necessary easements and or other instruments legally necessary to obtain access or for the purpose as may be needed as required in order to consummate the transaction.
Yeah, okay, that's it.
Yeah, I don't think it was clear though, because I think it got cut off in the first reading.
Yeah, I think that's what happened. It's actually, I think it reads, if I may, together with and conditional upon testing and any other due diligence. So yeah, that satisfies me. And I don't want to speak for John, but I think it would probably satisfy him too. John, it looks like that language is in there in the motion.
That satisfies me. I indeed missed that for whatever reason. So I withdraw my amendment.
I did too. Yep. Okay.
Okay, good catch.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Any other discussion about this thing? Mr. Shinisi. Gotcha.
Okay, thank you, Your Honor. I mean, I did attend that ad hoc and I did present some information at that ad hoc as well regarding the actual assessment of that lot. Now, I don't know if the tax assessor was on the call tonight or not, but that lot is assessed at $10,000 per year, which we're giving up for this lot. And the question is, what's the city's purpose of owning this lot? I don't see any purpose since it's so landlocked and being a swamp. I don't see what the city's purpose is to have ownership of this particular lot that's which is landlocked off Augusta Drive. The other piece is more is more environmental sensitive, but I don't see this piece as much. So I don't understand what their need for the city is to accept this donation at all. Given the potential issues that could happen regarding land use laws and whether or not that parcel was used as setback requirements for any other pieces of property that were also developed. Because at the ad hoc, there was a concern by Padukian that was raised. And they said that was going to have to be addressed, and I didn't hear that being addressed in the motion or by any other means. So to Les Pinter and to the tax assessors, that's correct of the assessment of that lot? Is it worth $250,000?
Well, let me just say this. It's not up to the assessor or to Les to determine the use or the public policy value of accepting a donation. That's really a decision of the council and the mayor's office. I would say to you that it's been our policy to land bank as much land as we can, with the idea that we are trying to protect as much open space as we can, swampy or not. And also I would argue that any zoning regulations of surrounding buildings would still apply. Just because we own it doesn't vitiate somebody from having to follow our local zoning regulations. So I think if your question has to do with value, the valuation of said property, because it's landlocked, I mean, we certainly can ask the assessor. She is on the call. I don't know if she'll have much information to you, but we certainly can ask what her opinion is of valuation, if that's what you're looking for, Mr. Shanese.
Sure.
Okay, so is our tax assessor on? Yep, she's here, Donna. Yep.
Yes, I'm on the call. I'm sorry. What was the parcel number?
Les, what's the parcel number? I can read it.
You want me to give it to him, Your Honor?
It's K11152. K11152. It's a 7-acre piece of land. It's a nice sized parcel.
Your Honor, if I may, I think Ben is talking about the smaller one that's probably a little bit more buildable, not the one that's all swamp, and I think that would be LT 1039.
Thank you.
The one off Augusta Drive.
Okay. I don't have the map in front of me, Ben, sorry.
I don't know either. Just two pieces.
Augusta Drive is K1152.
Okay. It's K115. It is K1152.
3 ones.
Yeah, 1111.
Yep. So what's do you have our valuation on that, Donna?
Yeah, I'm trying to look it up right now. I'm sorry.
It's okay. Take your time.
Get out. Yeah.
I apologize. I'm not able to pull it up on I'm trying to connect in to pull it up on my desktop, and I'm not able to go in on it right now.
Okay, no problem. Thank you, Donna. So it's hard to get you a value on that right now. The assessed value, Ben, was not $10,000, right? That was the taxes paid on the parcel, correct?
Correct.
Right.
Yes.
So, I mean, really, they could come in and declare that forest land and probably get $250 out of it, but.
Correct. And that was my point. I don't know why they never came back earlier to get it reassessed at a much lower value and keep the property.
Right. Well,
And
obviously they don't want it. So what's before the council tonight is whether or not to accept the donation.
Mayor Boughton?
Mr. Perkins.
Thank you, Your Honor. Through you, to you actually, does either one of these parcels of land provide any egress to any trails or any kind of outdoor activity?
The smaller one is probably a more accessible, if you will. The 7-acre parcel is a little bit more, is landlocked and difficult to have, but certainly one of the things we do with property like this is, we may come back to you and go to the land trust, ask them if they want to take ownership of the property, and with the blessing of the council, do a quick claim deed over to them, or title over to them. It just depends on whether they think there's value for what they do. So right now, it's not really accessible. It's in the vicinity of the Still River walkway or trail, the riverhead there, but it's not really, it's not contiguous.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, sir. Mayor Boughton?
Yes, sir. Mr. Cabo.
Mr. Cabo here. Thank you, Your Honor. If I could, I'd like to just direct, just a statement and a question to our planning director, Sharon Calitro. I believe she's on with us tonight.
Yes, I'm here.
Thank you, Ms. Calitro. Good evening. You and I had a discussion, I believe it was yesterday, about this interior lot. And you had enlightened me about some more reasons why this would be good for the city to take, especially since it's being offered to us free. And I was wondering if you would just share a couple of those points with the rest of the council at this point in time.
Sure. Thank you. So the primary reason to accept this donation is for the benefit of storage of floodwaters. So that's in an area with it has an unnamed tributary that drains into a wetland on an adjacent parcel and then eventually into the Still River. So while it's not in the 100-year floodplain, it is in the 500-year area. And if you continue to allow development in the 500-year and don't protect some of the land, it puts pressure on the 100-year. So it's wet. There's an unnamed tributary that runs through it, again, into wetlands on the adjacent parcel, and then across Augusta and into the Still River. So that would be the primary reason. And then again, for just open space preservation and preservation of just the natural habitat. And it is 7 acres.
Thank you. That's all I had, Your Honor.
Your Honor?
Yes, Mr. Rotella, you have the floor, sir.
I had my hands full during Sandy in the 6th Ward, especially around Blind Brook and Kenosha. I'm not sure I remember getting down there, but it seems to me there was some flooding down there in the Walmart area. And while Councilman Chinese's point is really well taken about, foregoing $10,000 a year, I fully support any acquisition of sensitive wet areas for the reasons that you mentioned. Even if we might have to forego a few bucks or more than a few bucks in doing this, particularly for the reasons that you mentioned and that Director Calitro mentioned, they do act as big sponges, and we have continuing issues in the 6th Ward with areas around Jensen and the mall where they had to build in retention ponds to make up for the fact that we lost some of that natural habitat, some of those sinking and permeable surfaces. So anything that would help. The low point there is that we acquire and can control is probably a net positive for the city. The larger parcel actually abuts a parking lot. And if we ever got an easement down there, somebody who wanted to do a nature study, WestCon students doing biology, Boy Scouts, whatever, could park there and with the easement walk down and study that. So there is some potential access. My only concerns really is the parcel clean, would be on the hook for a toxic cleanup, and once we're signed off on that also is the deed clean, and we can get the easement. I'm not calling it a win-win for the city because we are foregoing some future revenue, but it's certainly a net positive in my opinion, and I would support this. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you, Mr. Rotella. Any further discussion? Mr. Chinese, are you stretching or you?
No, we're not waiting for the answer for my question, are we?
No, sir.
No, okay.
Not that we wouldn't get you the answer to your question.
Well, I looked it up on Vision Appraisal, so I can share if you want.
Okay, you're free to share it. Donna's internet connection was a little.
Okay, it's according to Vision Appraisal. It's the appraisal as of 2017 was for the land was $541,300. The assessment as of 2017 was $378,900, which equates to about a $10,000 tax per year. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. Appreciate it. Further discussion. Councilwoman Stanley.
Thank you, Your Honor. Through you to, I don't know, I guess the tax assessor. If we were to go ahead with this, we're going ahead with this and the taxes on this property are fully paid. Just wondering if it doesn't come with the tax bill that's not paid. Is it, they're paid up in full?
That's a good question. I think if Mr. Ferguson is here, we might want to ask him that question. At the end of the day, usually we sell these tax liens anyways, Mr. Pinter. Yeah, okay. So Mr. Pinter is saying that we would normally check. We wouldn't consummate the transaction if there were taxes owed. So it's part of the due diligence, part of the environmental, check the taxes. And if it's not, if there are taxes owed, they have to make good on them before we would accept.
Is that true? Well, would they have to make good on the taxes?
Yeah, that's always been the policy.
Okay, I appreciate it. Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, at this time then we'll try your minds on acceptance. All in favor, give me a thumbs up or an aye.
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 Okay, any opposed? Okay, and motion carries unanimously.
I voted no, Your Honor.
I'm sorry, Ben, you know how the screens are?
No, I understand. I couldn't get the thumbs down button.
You were in my third screen. I'm sorry about that.
That's okay.
Okay, so Mr. Shinisi was in the negative. No disrespect there.
It's okay.
We have, Mr. President, we have department reports.
Thank you, Your Honor. At this time, I move that we waive the reading of all the departmental reports as all members have copies and copies are available for review in the Office of the Legislative Assistant as well as online.
Second.
Motion made and seconded by Councilman Santos. At this time, Kara Prati has joined us. So I'm going to ask her to come forward, kind of give us just an overview on where we stand with COVID-related activities within the city. And then we'll move into other questions of other departments and so forth. So Kara, if you want to just kind of give us a briefing. I already did a little bit for you, but I don't think I could do as good a job as you.
Thanks, Mayor. And I apologize for being late, and I hope that you didn't already cover some of this, but I apologize if it's redundant. Good evening, everyone. As you may have heard today, the Connecticut Department of Public Health issued an advisory to all Connecticut residents because of the increase in COVID cases. Statewide, from the time period of September 20th through October 4th to October 18th through November 1st, the average daily case rate has increased from 5.1 per 100,000 to 14 per 100,000. Danbury is also seeing an increase. Our 14-day rolling average is 39.2 per 100,000, which is up from last week of 22.8. Our positivity rate is 8.6%. To combat the rising cases, the state is going to phase 2.1, which you probably already touched on. That goes into effect at midnight, November 6th, so in a few hours. This includes restaurants will reduce to 50% capacity with a maximum of 8 people limited to a table. Restaurants and entertainment venues will be required to close by 9:30 p.m. with the exception of food takeout and delivery services, which will be allowed to continue after 9:30. Personal services such as hair salons and barbershops will remain at 75% capacity. Event venues will be limited to 25 people indoor, 50 people outdoor. Performing art venues and movie theaters will have a capacity of 100 people. Religious gatherings will be limited to 50% capacity or 100 people maximum, and private gatherings, indoor or outdoor, are capped at 10 people. There's also new guidance for sports. No high-risk sports games for the rest of 2020 for K through 12. No hosting of tournaments for high or medium risk sports, and medium risk indoor sports must wear a mask. Our health department is continuing to work with the 2 federally qualified health centers to host testing events. This is in addition to their daily testing that they offer at their locations. I just want to note that the Community Health Center is moving their location to the WestCon Westside campus at 43 Lake Avenue Extension effective tomorrow, 11/6. And the Connecticut Institute for Communities is adding Saturday hours in November from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. at 120 Main Street. We are also still doing contact tracing, which is only as good as the information people will give us. So I'm asking for people to please work with our tracers to help stop the spread. I also want to note that the holidays are right around the corner and to please limit gatherings with people from outside your household. If you do host people from outside your household, to wear a mask inside your own home. And that's about it. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have any questions for Kara Prunty?
I do, Your Honor, if I may.
Sure.
Director Prunty, we seem to be some of the state officials are downplaying this a bit, and they may have their reasons. But we had a state total caseload on Thursday a week ago of approximately 1,350, and that was the third highest day we've had since this began back in March. Only 2 days higher than that. So it seems to me that our second wave is approaching the ferocity of the first wave, and yet there seems to be fewer hospitalizations, and thank God, a lot fewer deaths. And it has occurred to me, and I am, believe me, no expert on this, that maybe the first wave, because testing was so significantly attenuated, there just weren't enough tests to go around. The only people who were being tested and reported as cases were the people who were really, really sick already, and now that you can get tested anywhere now. So maybe we're testing a whole bunch of people who normally would have been flying under the radar with no symptoms. So is this peak, in a sense, different from the first peak? Are we adding a lot more people in this peak that are essentially asymptomatic but testing positive, no danger to themselves, possibly a danger to the community, but no danger to themselves? And we're not going to see the kinds of really distressing symptoms, hospitalizations, even fatalities in this second wave. If you could opine on that, I'd appreciate it anyway. Thank you.
Sure, that's a great question. I think it's attributed to a lot of what you're saying is that there is a lot more testing now than there was in the spring. In the spring, it was really limited. We now can test asymptomatic people, which is great because it allows us to do contact tracing and keep people home before they might be exhibiting symptoms. But also going along with that, we are still seeing increasing hospitalizations statewide. And in Danbury, we have unfortunately had 3 deaths in the month of October. So we are seeing the effects of these increases. It is not as dramatic or as quickly as it happened in the spring, but it does, we are still seeing the effects of that with hospitalizations and deaths.
Thank you, Director Prunty. Thanks, Your Honor.
Thank you, Mr. Rotello. Further questions? Mr. Taversack.
Yes, to Kara. Kara, I talked to you this morning. I had some questions on the Super 8. As usual, I wanted to know how many people are being serviced, homeless people are being serviced at the Super 8. And also, with winter coming up, I was wondering if there will be enough beds for the homeless as when the weather gets cold. I know we have few warm days coming up, but that's not normal. Can you hear me? And the other thing is what the status of the whole Super 8 was. Okay, I mean, I remember we voted on something where we thought there was some possibility of the Super 8 being purchased for homeless shelter. But from what I understand now, there are about 45 rooms set aside. So I was wondering what the status of what that long-range plan was with the Super 8 being purchased. No. And also how many beds you feel are available and so forth. I talked to Kara this morning. It's not a surprise.
Yeah, no. So we're not really in a position to discuss negotiations related to the purchase of that by a separate entity, a nonprofit entity. I can tell you they're still in negotiations, Mr. Taversack. There's been nothing final that has been done there. There's probably due diligence going on, environmental tests, things like that would typically go on in any real estate transaction. But the city is not a party to that, so we're not briefed on those things. There is, I believe, a call coming next week with our legislators just to brief them on where everything stands. So, and it's really not in our report. right? So, but there are other questions you had related to current activities at the Super 8. I think it's important that Kara address them. So go ahead, Kara.
All right, thank you.
Sure, thank you. So currently we have 38 individuals who are staying with us at the Super 8. We've housed 54 people since the beginning in March. We do have the increased capacity as of November 1st to the 45 rooms. So we're actively working to move people in. Sometimes it's a process to contact people off the wait list, but we're in the process of doing that to bring people in. We are, not going to turn anyone away in the cold. We've been in planning meetings and discussions about the winter months, and I feel like we will definitely have adequate space within the Super 8 to handle any overflow that we will need in terms of handling any homeless.
Okay, the reason I asked was I sort of had a arithmetic count of what we had before, and with the overflow and everything, it approached 80 beds were available if you took all the. So that's what I was worried about. I know we've made improvements of the amount of people that have actually been housed, which is very, very good. The other question, but I hope you're right on this, but the saying is, say it's 45 and somebody, say we have a bad snowstorm and all. I mean, will people be able to have an emergency housing that night when the storm is, or is there a waiting period or what?
Yeah, no, if there's a cold blue situation and the temperatures reach a dangerous level, we do have a plan in place for those individuals to be able to stay at the Super 8, whether they're in a room or just act as a warming center. There are plans in place for that. And I do want to just note that it's 45 rooms, so that doesn't necessarily mean 45 individuals, because some of those are double beds. Some have 2 beds to a room.
Oh, okay, fine. All right, thank you. The other question I asked you about, I couldn't find an answer about what was happening on Elm Street on something that was connected with the homeless before. You said that as far as, I think what you said, that your department pretty much put everything on hold with the virus. I tried to get hold of housing and I wasn't able to. So I was wondering, is this on hold by everybody?
Yeah, it is. I mean, I think our priority right now is to handle the emergency shelter system. In the COVID era, we can't use congregate housing. We can't have open days. We can't everything in the past. Yeah,
everything's messed up.
Yeah, is gone. So our objective is, as you pointed out, making sure in the winter months that everybody's got someplace to go to. Now, remember, the 211 line works both ways. So if we don't have room in our facility, one of the benefits of working tightly with nonprofit is they can use one of their other facilities in another city to house that person. They'll have to travel, and we do provide transportation, as you know. That's a possibility, so we don't have anybody staying out in the cold. But once we get through this winter and we get the system really working well, we'll go back and revisit with the housing authority the Elm place. There's some potential there, but it's just one thing at a time right now.
Okay, and the other thing is with the 45 beds, the people who are generally Danbury residents have top priority. Is that what it is?
That is true. Yes, Danbury residents get priority and that facility.
Okay, well, thank you very much for the information. Hopefully we're right that everything will turn out okay and a milder winter will come.
Yeah, I like the way you think, Mr. T.
You gotta be positive, right?
Any other questions for Kara related to COVID or? Okay, now we'll move on to the general department reports. Any questions related to any questions in the department reports?
Your Honor, I do.
Okay, go ahead, Mr. James.
Thank you, Your Honor. This is to Chief Ridenhour.
Go ahead.
Please.
Yes, sir.
Okay. About a couple of months ago, I got a call from a constituent on what the city of Danbury's response to human trafficking. And I did tell them that there's an ad hoc that's out there looking into that very same issue, and that we're going to hopefully be meeting soon to come to a conclusion on that. But in reading your report, I see that there was human trafficking training that was mandated for all personnel. Can you give at least me and the rest of the council a little bit of an update of what that was about, and if there's issues that are occurring in the city that we should be aware of?
No, it's just part of our, what we call essential skills training, and it's just to update our personnel on seeing the signs of human trafficking so that we can get the necessary resources available, questions to ask when we go into certain establishments, to things to look for, and if we need to engage our state or federal partners for follow-up investigations.
Okay. So, and the second part is there an issue here in the city currently regarding human trafficking, or not really?
I mean, I think I would be naive to say that we don't have any problems, but I don't think that it's to a great magnitude. But our special investigations division also always looks into those things. So we do handle complaints, and we try to investigate accordingly.
Thank you, Chief.
Thanks, Ben. Sorry, Councilman Shinisi. Any other questions for under department reports? Ooh, anybody? Okay, seeing none, then I will. Councilman Tabersack.
We're gonna have to unmute you. Sorry.
We got. Hold on 1 minute.
A minute. There should be a prompt on this. Requested it.
Yeah, Bob, push yours. You got to unmute. There should be a prompt.
Okay, all right, thank you.
There you go. There you go.
You know how I am with technology. I'm sorry. I apologize for being.
We got you.
All right. Just for the chief, related to what the previous question at Tom Brown, I was wondering what the situation is with body cameras and the recent training and so forth the police are going through, and do we have body cameras and so forth? What is just the plan that we have? Just some specifics on that.
Okay. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Thank you.
Okay. It's a very good question. And with regard to the body cameras, we had a problem. As you know, the council approved funding last December for the body cameras, and we had a tentative deal with a vendor. Shortly after that, that money was approved, that particular vendor could not meet the terms of the original tentative agreement that we had. They were acquiring a new company and they were changing models. So we kind of had to go back to the drawing board. I'm happy to say now we have selected a new vendor, and hopefully we will have the cameras in by the end of the year. So we are moving forward with the body cameras. As you also know, the police accountability bill required body and in-car cameras. We do have some in-car cameras, but we're going to have to go and get some new ones. So, but that doesn't have to be fully in effect until July 1st of 2022. And so we have a little bit of time on that, but obviously, as you know, time flies pretty quickly. And then we are up to date on all of the other provisions of the police accountability bill with training, and we're on target with all of the implementation dates that are required in the bill.
Okay, good to hear that. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Tabersack. Any other questions regarding department reports?
Your Honor?
Yeah, Mr. Rotella.
Another one for the chief. Chief, the fingerprint vendor for the purposes of permit acquisition had bowed out during COVID. Have they come back? Are they servicing the department again?
Oh, yes, they've been back for a few months now.
Okay.
Yep.
Thanks.
Any other discussion for department reports? Mr. Joe Cavo.
Your Honor, this may not be department reports, but it may be just a point of personal privilege. I'd like to just give a shout out to Jan Giggler and Jeff, and to Marianne and Joan, and all the staff that work so diligently to get the votes counted here in the city of Danbury, and to the volunteers, not the volunteers, but the workers that were hired part-time to get that work done. It was very labor intensive, and it took quite a long time, and it was just great to see everybody working together to get that job done. So just like to give a great Danbury shout out to everybody that worked at that to get it done.
Yes.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Okay, any other questions on department reports?
Your Honor?
Is that Elmer? Okay,
Yes.
Councilman Palmer, yes.
Yeah, this is for the chief. I have once one of the constituents asked if anybody is to complain about to check with large parties. Who is responsible, or who is the police responsible for this to check on it, or where should they call?
Okay, well, I mean, we're the 24/7 operation, so certainly they can give us a call. We try to work with the health department to respond to these types of calls. So if anyone from the health department is available or the unit, they're the first line of defense to try to go and break some of these things up. But we would respond with them, and certainly if none of them are available, then the police officers would respond. And again, our first option is to try to, educate and break up whatever the party is, and then enforcement is a last resort if needed.
Okay, thank you so much. That was very important. So that way people get to know more and what to do in any case. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Councilman. Further discussion, Councilman Mike Esposito.
Thank you, Your Honor. Is Sean Stillman on tonight?
Yes.
Yes,
Yes, I am. Here I am.
Sean.
Hello there.
I didn't see anything in your report about South Street and Copid Hill, our illegal junkyard that's being operated down there.
Yes, I did not include that in the report simply because I put it in.
Can you tell me how many
previous.
fines have been levied against this gentleman so far?
There has been no
None.
fines. There have been no fines levied. The property, I'm at that property every day, including the weekends. I was at that property 2 days ago and somebody was stopping by to drop stuff off on that truck. I had him remove it, put it back in his truck and drive away because he claimed that the property owner allowed him to do that. The property is much improved as it
Well,
has been.
how long are we going to continue to let this gentleman operate a junkyard down there? How long?
Well, we're not letting him do that at all.
Well, why
it's
isn't
just
it being stopped?
I don't know how to best answer that question.
Well, Mr. Stillman,
You told me
here's
you were
how-
going to levy fines against this gentleman.
Yeah, Mr. Esposito, first of all, a couple of things. One is the courts haven't even been open in COVID. Secondly, the judges don't honor the fines. They throw them out. Why do they throw them out? Because until the fines equal at least 1/2 of the cost of the building, they won't enforce them. They look at you like you're nuts and they go, we're not going to do this. So the only way to get people to comply is to keep working with them and showing up and showing up and showing up. He can write a ticket every day, but we'll never collect a dime because the judge doesn't enforce it.
Well, what about the constituents that keep calling us and telling us that the
Just say you'll
noise
send-
there, people
you'll
work
send-
at night and they want to sleep during the daytime, and
Yeah.
he's operating a junkyard there.
Yeah, I mean, I would just keep sending Sean down. If there's somebody at night, and you certainly can have them call the PD, the non-emergency line, and see if they'll send somebody down there as well. But I mean, you can issue a fine, but it doesn't mean they're going to pay it, and they don't. I think the max is like $50 a day.
We can't get the trucks pulled out of there. There's 2 trucks down there that are unlicensed and unregistered.
Those have to be
Yes.
meatballed. The police can meatball those. But again, that's 30 days they have to sit there before they're claimed.
Right. Mayor, you're right about that. They can be tagged, although the city of Danbury cannot remove them from private property unless they're on city property. But Councilman, I have been to this location on weekends, at night, in mornings, over the last month, probably at least 40 to 50 times. And I can tell you that property has been significantly improved. Now, if somebody's dumping something there right now, I can't be there to stop it. But I can tell you that property has been significantly improved over the last 2 months.
I go by there 20 times a day, and every
Yep.
time I go by there, there's more junk there.
No, I don't know what to tell you, but I go
It's
there,
not
I meet the
just this
property
past
owner there.
month. This has been going on for about 8 months now.
Correct.
Actually, it's been longer than that, but
Yes.
what I would do, Sean, why don't you contact Les? See if you guys can craft a cease and desist, but it doesn't mean they're gonna follow it, but maybe we can start creating a trail of paperwork that can be enforced later on. So Les, would you be willing to do that?
Thank you, Your Honor.
Absolutely, Your Honor.
Thank you, Sean.
Yes, I'll do that, boss.
Get a hold of Les on tomorrow, send him an email, kind of describing what you witnessed. And see
You
if
got
we
it.
can get some kind of cease and desist going there.
Will do.
Okay, anybody else have anything else?
Your Honor.
Mr. Palma.
Yes, now that I see leaves falling down, is any specific day where the city will pick them up, debris and things like that, or not yet?
We are out there. We rotate each week a different zip code, 06810 one week, 06811 the following week. But understand, what does happen a lot of times is people will put the leaves out after we pass by, so then we have to wait till the end to go back and to pick up the leaves again. So it's a very laborious process with 44 square miles, but we are out there. We've already started.
Is there any way we let them know a specific zip code when before pick that up, day ahead or time, so they can have better idea?
We do, we put it up on the website, which week is what week, but we can't guarantee that we're going to be on a certain street on a certain day. It depends on rain, storms, all kinds of things that sometimes can throw our workflow off. But we certainly can remind people that which zip code we're in each week.
Thank you so much.
Okay, further discussion. Further discussion. Okay, seeing none, then at this time, I'll try your minds in acceptance of the department reports. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Or thumbs up, whatever. Okay, any opposed? Ayes have it, motion carries unanimously. I just have two other announcements before we break for the night. First, I'll extend all committees. Secondly, today is Paul Rotello's birthday. Is it not, Paul? Happy birthday.
It is. Thank you very much, Your Honor.
Happy birthday.
Paul is 27 today. And
That's it.
in case you haven't heard, Taylor and I are in a battle for who can raise the most money for our food pantries. If you go to feedingourneighborschallenge.org, there's a section there for Taylor and a section there for me. The competition is based on who can raise the most. If she raises more than I do, I have to run down Main Street in a chicken outfit led by a police cruiser. And if I raise more money than she does, she has to run down on Main Street in a inflatable unicorn outfit. So we're doing this for a worthy cause. And if you could throw in a couple bucks, that'd be great. If not, if you could tell people about it, that'd be good too. All the money goes directly to the United Way food pantry system. No money is taken out for administrative, and that's all Danbury pantries, things like Daily Bread, Hillside, places like that. Try to make sure everybody has a meal on their table this Thanksgiving. So just wanted to throw that out there.
Can you repeat the address, Your Honor?
Sure, it's feedingourneighborschallenge.org, all one word, feedingourneighborschallenge.org.
Is there a, does it show where you guys are at to encourage
Yeah,
people
it
to
is.
donate to Taylor?
There's a bar there, yeah.
Hold on, right now. because
I did get $1,000 donor today.
Yeah, but look at mine.
What's the information to donate to Taylor? That's the only one I
Thank
need.
you. Thank you,
And
Councilman.
if you guys use this against me in the next election, I'm not talking to any one of you. I'm out.
No, I
I
just
have to
want to
run
see
in
you in the chicken costume, that's all.
Oh, it's gonna be great.
No, but with that chicken suit, I'd like to see that one way or the other.
That'd be great.
By a small margin, so get in there. I only have $1,400 right now.
All right.
Taylor, you should have made
You're
it that
about
he has
to
to
have
knock
more,
on
Taylor.
doors with the chicken suit on.
He'll be in it for, yeah, and I get to pick out the suit.
She does.
I
She
get
gets
to pick out the suit.
That's part of the deal.
Send ideas.
All right. With that, I want to wish everybody a very happy and healthy Thanksgiving. Please be careful. We'll try to keep you updated with COVID stuff so you can update your constituents. And let's make sure we pray for our city, our state, and our country over this Thanksgiving season. With that, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Thank you.
Made by Mr. Santos, I
Hello.
think, seconded by Mr. Perkins. All in favor of adjournment signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye.